Hey guys, JB here from Alpha Consulting, coming to you today with another episode of Understanding Thyself. And this episode is all about my process to facing my emotions and working through emotions. So there's a couple of key things we got to understand, and one thing is the reassigning of the negative and positive meaning that we give to the emotions that we feel. So for example, when we feel loss, when we have the loss of a relationship in our life, when we feel loss, okay, we can see that loss as being negative, and we can sort of, associate it as a negative event in our life where we have fallen short, we have this, we have that. Or we can see it as a positive event in our life where it's a marker that we cared for another person, that we connected with someone else, and all of this. Okay, so that's part of it, is we're reshaping the meaning that we give to the events and circumstances and the emotions that we're going through. And then the other aspect is, there's three aspects, but the second aspect is the physical practice, okay, of activating simultaneously, just by crossing my arms like this and laying them on my waist, okay, activate simultaneously my left hemisphere and my right hemisphere. So this means I can process and understand my emotions more logically. I can have that logical aspect in working through and understanding my emotions, okay? And then the third aspect is just understanding amplification, okay, and amplified pain, and how that resets, okay, our understanding and conceptualization of pain, and increases our tolerance to pain. So an important thing to understand with these practices and how these practices work is that what we are trying to do is we are trying to take the event from the external party having the power of they set the tempo of how painful it was, to now, no, I set the tempo of how painful it was, and actually what you've done to me, I don't like it, but it actually wasn't that bad, because I know worse can be done. You know what I mean? And what we're doing is we're taking the power back from saying you can hurt me to no, I can hurt myself. Because we got to understand, okay, and this is the reason for the meaning, and the meaning that we associate is that, we are the ones that say this is positive in my life, this is negative in my life. We're the ones that say this is a good event, this is a bad event. We're the ones that make ourselves feel good in moments and feel negative in moments. If I get punched in the face and I say it's a bad event and a negative event, I'm going to make myself feel bad for being punched in the face. So I'll feel negative. Do you sort of get it? Whereas if I say being punched in the face is a positive thing, well, if you punch me in the face, I'm going to start to feel positive. And I'm not going to feel these negative emotions around the environment and the circumstance, like fear and insecurity and things like that. I'm going to feel these positive emotions, like certainty, capability, competency, and things like that. Because it's an environment I want to be in. I put more effort into the environments I want to be in. Do you sort of get it? When I'm in an environment I don't want to be in, my mind is looking for every exit. It just wants to get out of there. I don't want to deal with it. I can't deal with it. So by reassigning the meaning of the negative emotions we want to deal with, we're able to easily face them. Okay? And then basically by having our arms crossed and activating, both hemispheres, so full brain activation, what we're able to do is now we're able to do practices where we're able to experience those emotions, but it's not uncontrolled, it's controlled. It's like putting a saddle on a horse. You can try and ride that horse without a saddle with your hands in the air, like you just don't care, you know what I mean? But you're going to fall flat on your face so many times. So the easiest solution is, well, if we put a saddle on there, we got something to fucking hold on to. Do you sort of get it? So when we're doing this practice where we cross our arms and we activate both hemispheres, now I have the conscious aspect of me and the unconscious aspect of me. My emotions are not just the unconscious aspect of me. So now I'm able to understand those events, those situations, those people, those interactions that I went through that caused the negative environment or the negative aspect or those negative emotions. Do you sort of get it? So I'm able to work through it confidently and capably because I'm not in the unknown, I'm in the known, because I have my conscious mind and my subconscious mind activated. So when we understand this, this is the power that gives us the ability to face the emotion without fear of loss of control. Do you sort of understand it? So when I have my full brain activated, I am now talking to you through my logic and my conscious side of my brain, but I'm also talking to you through my emotional side of my brain or my subconscious side of my brain. So you'll hear tonal shifts where the tonalities will become slightly more emotive because now I have access to the emotive aspects of me. Do you sort of understand? Whereas if I'm just sitting here with my, my conscious brain activated because I'm sitting here thinking about what I'm doing, well, now I don't have access to the emotive side, and you can hear in the tonality of the voice that it is altered and shifted so that there's less emotive in it. It's more concise and logical. Do you sort of understand? So when we do this practice, what we're actually able to do is now I'm able to speak my emotions, I'm able to work through them, I'm able to talk about them to myself, to other people, whoever. But I'm able to dive in there confidently because I'm not in the unknown without control, I'm in the known with control. Do you sort of get it? I've already been through all the negative events and the negative situations that have caused these negative emotions. I've already been through it. So going back into it, I'm not going into the unknown. Do you sort of understand? But if I'm trying to explore my emotions without having access to the conscious aspect, then it's chaotic, it's irrational, it's illogical, it doesn't make sense. Do you sort of understand? So when we understand these two practices and how they allow us to, because when we have the full brain activation, well, now anything that I'm saying, so any narrative I'm creating is being directly implanted into my subconscious brain. This is how we reprogram our subconscious brain. Okay, and we reprogram our subconscious narratives because these are the narratives that sit in the back of our mind that make us feel less than, feel negative. Do you understand? They make us feel like we're not good enough. So an important thing to do, okay, is to understand that when we're doing these practices and we're facing these emotions, we're creating new narratives and new meaning, and we're implementing them. And then afterwards, we feel different because we have changed the narrative. We have changed the structure and the shape of the situation or the emotion that we're going through, and we've reassigned it from negative to positive. So now it's a positive experience that I've gone through regardless of the experience. Okay, it's a positive experience that I've gone through that I understand and I've explored, and I've set new narratives in and reprogrammed my subconscious thought around it and my subconscious narrative, so that in the back of my mind I don't have bullshit saying bullshit to me. I've just got these new positive narratives. Okay, and then with the last aspect, okay, where what we're trying to do is, now that we've got, we've got our ability to sort of reframe and reshape the emotive side of it, and then we've got the practice to be able to implement and sort of work through it. Well, now what we want to do, okay, is we want to start controlling it in the aspect of we want to start creating new meaning, new actions moving forward. We want to work through it, but we also, in this process, okay, we want to amplify that pain. So while we're in this process of, for example, you know, we're going through and we're feeling the loss. So let's say we've had heartbreak recently, okay, and you know, we feel the loss, we're feeling sort of not good enough and all of this. So what we want to do is we want to do the practice where we activate our full brain by crossing our hemispheres, and then what we want to do is we want to start feeling it and amplifying it, okay? So we feel that loss and we amplify that loss and we see every negative aspect and we let ourselves go down the negative hole and we drag ourselves to the bottom of that negative hole, okay? And then what happens is, now that we're at the bottom and we've amplified that pain and we've experienced the worst of the worst, now we start to reassign the meaning and rebuild the narrative. Do you sort of understand it? So we let our narrative destroy us to see that it cannot destroy us. And we get a choice when we are sitting at the bottom. When everyone hits rock bottom, they get one or two choices, okay? You get to choose, this is the end, this is what takes me out, or you get to choose, this isn't the end, I'm gonna come back from this. Do you sort of get it? So we bring ourselves to that point and then we decide, well, no, actually, I don't want to feel less than because someone, you know, I'm in heartbreak. I don't want to feel lack. I don't want to feel loss. I'm going to focus on the positive aspects of that experience, and actually I'm going to rebuild the narrative to be one of positive rather than focusing on the negative. Do you sort of understand? So now we're rebuilding it up and we've got our new actions moving forward are the focus and the direction that we're moving towards. Do you sort of understand? So with these three aspects of being able to reassign the sort of meaning, okay, having the practice to be able to reprogram and, you know, explore your emotions confidently and capably, okay, and then being able to amplify those emotions, okay, and sort of bring yourself to rock bottom and then give yourself that choice to rebuild. Because the thing is if you don't reach rock bottom, there's always somewhere further to fall. Once you reach rock bottom, you've found the bottom of the pool. You always know where it is. You've got that marker. So no matter how bad life gets, you know where rock bottom is. Do you sort of understand? So by taking yourself to the depths of the depths, okay, to your rock bottom, you recalibrate yourself to understanding how bad life can be. When you visualize yourself living the remainder of your life never having another personal interaction and personal relationship and connection, okay, that sets a really, really good marker for what a fucking failure of a life would be like. You understand and know that fear. And then you understand, well, hey, if I'm getting insecure about other people's behavior and me being confident about myself, okay, like it's nowhere near as bad as that fear of 60 or 70 years of solitude without ever knowing connection. Like, that is terrifying. Like, that is a life that just destroys and erodes your mind and your worth and everything, to where death is the mercy in life. Do you sort of get it? Like, no bullshit anyone else does is ever going to come close to that. So it takes away the power from bullshit that other people do, because I already know how bad it can be. So I don't need to, you know, feel less than just because someone doesn't see my value. It's sort of like, you know what I mean? If I choose that path to see less than, well then I'm definitely going down that road of 60 to 70 years of being alone. Like, do you sort of get it? Or shit relationships, or, you know, shit connections. So it's sort of like that fear now sets the tempo that I'm actually not going to be controlled by insecurities of, oh, I don't feel confident enough to talk to this person and that person and do this, because it's sort of like, if I don't do that, well, this is probably going to be the likely outcome. Do you sort of get it? And then that's what we measure everything against, and everything sort of starts to seem like it's not that big of a deal, like it's not that bad to tell someone how you feel, even if, you know, they may reject you, because trust me, I think living 60 years without ever knowing connection would be terrifying. Who you would fall into becoming would be such a cynically negative, pessimistic person who would just be so miserable. Like, your life would be a hell. You would make your life hell. Do you sort of get it? So in the moment when we're dragging ourselves to our version of rock bottom, like, this is the fucking reality, that if you don't do the work in your life, like, you're going there. So for example, if I don't do the work and put the work into developing and having connections and relationships, like, I will spend my life alone. Like, do you sort of get it? Like, it's not on someone else to come and be with me just because I don't want to do the bullshit work that I need to do on myself. Like, do you sort of get it? So like, everyone that comes to me, it's always going to fall apart. It's always going to be toxic. And the only ones that last will be relationships based in manipulation, because that's where both parties have an interest in control. Do you sort of get it? So it's not that it's a relationship, but both are in a competition for who can control and hurt the other the most. Like, it's fucking stupidity. Do you sort of get it? Like, living a life like that would be more terrifying than doing what you want to do in life, because the person you become in that environment would be such a toxic, negative person. And we see it all the time. Like, people who are toxic in life aren't bad people. They're usually quite good people, but they don't address negative aspects of themselves, and they hide it, and sort of it's on everyone else to bear that negativity, not on them. Do you sort of get it? So you push people away because people don't want to deal with your bullshit. So people will avoid you. And like, yeah, when you're young, it's all right. People put up with your bullshit. But typically when you reach your late 30s to your early 40s, that's when people just stop putting up with your bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, go to any nursing home, you'll see who I'm talking about. You'll see the people that just never took responsibility for how their actions and their, you know, communication and all this bullshit and how they acted influenced and affected other people. So, you know, they're those negative old men that if you try and talk to them, they just fucking, they're so pissy, and they just fucking wah, 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 and complain and bitch and moan about everything. And you're just like, mate, what is even the point to talking to you? You're just bitching and moaning that you're about to die. Like, who the fuck cares? Like, is it my problem that you fucked away your life and wasted your life and you're this pissy little bitch? And like, it's my problem that you didn't do what you wanted to do in life, so now you're feeling regret and you're feeling fear because you never took responsibility for what you wanted in life. Do you sort of get it? Like, if you ever want to find motivation in life to follow your dreams, just go to a retirement home or a nursing home and talk to everyone there. You will see the people who took responsibility for their life because they developed relationships, and even in the nursing home, they develop relationships with the nurses, they develop relationships with the other patients and things like that, like they're connecting still. But then you have the other ones, and you'll see them, trust me, that are just that angry and miserable and pissed off that they lived this fucking life, whatever it may have been. So for most people, it's usually like they worked in a company for like 40, 50 years and all of this, and never did what they wanted to do. You know, they reared children, and then they just drank piss on the weekends, pissed away their life, and sort of like now they're just miserable and pissy because none of their family come and visit them. Like no one wants to be around them. They're just waiting to die. And it's sort of like, if you want to end your life waiting to die, miserable with your life, by all means, don't take responsibility for your actions, don't take responsibility for any aspect of your life, and I can promise you, you will end up there. So that's the thing, like, and the reason I know this so well is this is how my granddad was. He was a fucking wanker. He treated people like shit, and just every relationship, every friendship always ended in conflict because he didn't care that if he said something stupidly sexist or something racist or something like that, that it doesn't matter if it affects you. He thinks it's funny.